Hello, I'm Kat. This is 10 minutes long. Welcome to my very messy kitchen. I thought I would show you how I make red lentil kofta because they are super easy to make, really tasty, good for you, ridiculously low in calories. Like, honestly, I love this recipe so much. In my last house I destroyed my stick blender, so in my new house I was like, oh, I'm going to buy a proper nice blender, which is what you can see there. It's a Ninja blender. Other blenders are available. Not going to say that I defo recommend it. It's a good blender, but there's others out there, so you can make your own choices. So you can see I'm starting off just with red lentils, and I soak them for about 2 hours beforehand. I think it says that in the recipe as well, but even if it doesn't, like, it's always worth soaking lentils and, like, you know, dried pulses and legumes and things like that. They just work better when you do. So those have been soaking pretty much. Like, I got up this morning and put them on to soak, and now it is tea time. Basically all this recipe is red lentils, bit of onion, few spices, all whizzed up and then cooked. I did buy pre-packaged red onion, but only because no other onion was available. I wouldn't usually endorse that. I would usually just buy and chop an onion, but that did make it super quick. Bit of garlic going in from the freezer, so because it was from the freezer it didn't really need, and because it's going to be whizzed up it didn't really need chopping very finely. I just chopped it into chunks just because it was frozen, which is what I'm doing there. And then it's a case of a bit of pepper, a bit of oregano, a bit of parsley. You just whiz it up together and turn it into like a mush, and then you cook that mush. Simples. That was hilarious. I pressed the sides of the tube to get the top off, and it went flying across the kitchen. That was quite funny. So yeah, basically you just put everything in the blender and zhuzh it up. I think I said that. I was going to tidy my kitchen for this video, and then I was kind of like, well, the whole point of 10 minutes long is showing that life is very imperfect and that just, like, life's messy, and here it is in all its glory. You can see washing in the background. The ladder hasn't been put away. There's, like, dishes on the side that haven't been put away. It just is it was a mess. My life is quite messy at the moment, so yeah, I was like, no, I'm not going to tidy up before this video. People can just see how messy it is, and that's all fine. So anyway, back to this recipe. There's a bit of tomato paste going in there just to give it a bit of flavour. I actually got this recipe online, and I have linked to it down in the description. Usually I change recipes quite a bit. There is all zhushing up. Usually I change recipes quite a bit, but this one I've just really barely changed at all. All of the ingredients that went into it in this particular video were dried, but usually I put fresh parsley in, and that does actually make quite a big difference. I do prefer this recipe with fresh parsley, but my parsley is not yet ready to be chopped up and put in things, but it tastes fine. It tastes absolutely fine with normal parsley, but with fresh parsley the flavour really comes through. So anyway, basically once you've zhushed it up, you kind of turn it into like patties, and then you cook those, and then you have that with salad or whatever it is you want to have it with. What the recipe says is that you should fry them, and I have had them fried, and they are nice fried, and in some ways they are nicer because they don't go as dry, so you're supposed to just fry them a couple of minutes on each side. However, I am busy and I am also lazy, so for me it was kind of like, well, I could fry them, or I could just try cooking them in the oven. So the recipe doesn't say anything at all about putting them in the oven, but I do anyway. I put them in the oven. I put them all on baking sheets, and then I put them in the oven on about 180 for probably about 20 minutes. So they could probably stand a little bit less than that, or a lower temperature, to be fair. I do find that it does make them a little bit drier, but because I have them with salad and tzatziki and balsamic vinegar, it just kind of, like, the fact that it's a little bit drier is a bit moot. Like, it doesn't really matter that it is drier. So anyway, here you can see me blobbing it all on the sheets. I'm using baking parchment, so because they stick like hell, as you can probably see from the mixture. I have got like oven tray liners that mean I don't have to use baking parchment, because obviously it's not very environmentally friendly to do. But when I use baking parchment, it leaves these circles on the parchment that just don't come off. Like, it just is sticky as hell, this mixture is. So I use baking parchment for it, because it's kind of like, well, it doesn't matter then if it doesn't come off. That's an old ratty baking tray, which I only ever use with a liner in it. And that's because my other nice clean new baking tray was dirty and I hadn't yet washed it because, well, we covered this, I'm lazy. And I've got other stuff to do. So this particular amount made 19 for me, but like, quite seriously, I've made this recipe quite a few times. Sometimes it makes 19, sometimes it makes 15. It depends. Like, you've just kind of got to be good at judging how much mixture you're putting down, because I'm not very good at that. So some of mine were huge and some of them were tiny. The whole mixture though together, if you split it out, like the way that I work it out, is that the entire mixture, so the whole 19 koftas that I've made here, come to about 300 calories. So like I've made 19, so I can have like 6-ish for 100 calories. And every time I work that out, I'm like, I've surely done that incorrectly. Like, that is really not a lot of calories for like 6 koftas, but it is what it is. The funny thing is that when I've gone to work out like how many calories this is, every time I look at how many calories are in red lentils, just dried red lentils, not tinned or prepped or anything, just dried red lentils, every single company will tell you that there is a different amount. So like, if you look it up on Sainsbury's, or if you look it up on Tesco, or if you look at the back of the packet, it all tells you there's a different amount of calories in them. So it's kind of like, well, which one do you believe? So I go by the actual calorific values on the back of the actual lentils that I use, which are Natco lentils, just because they do like 2 kilograms for cheap, and I surprisingly use a lot of red lentils. So anyway, those are now in the oven, and I'm just going to leave them in there for 20 minutes. While they're in there, I'm going to prep a salad. So I thought, because this is quite a straightforward recipe, I'd also show you kind of what I eat it with as well, because this whole meal to me is just like, I really, really enjoy it, especially in the summer. And this is like the first of my summery meals now that we're starting to get into May. I do use like pre-prepped salad. Again, we've covered this, lazy, don't have time. Not only that, but like I actually would make my own salad. Like my mum used to, you know, buy an iceberg lettuce, chop bits into it, and she used to chop like little bits of fine pepper in and carrot and stuff, and I used to really, really enjoy that. And I would make my own, but I just do not eat enough of it. Like, it's already a bit of a bind when I want salad, because I have to buy the pre-packed stuff and then use it over 2 days, because I just don't use it enough to what, like if I made a big salad, like a lot of it would go to waste. So that's why I tend to buy the pre-packed stuff. But I'm not entirely happy with that, because it's a lot of extra plastic. But anyway, you can see there it's just pre-packed sweet and crispy salad. So it's got a bit of purple cabbage in, a bit of what's it called, carrot, and I chop a cucumber up as well, because who doesn't love cucumber, and put on some sweet corn, because I also really love sweet corn. And then I have half a pot of tzatziki, which is surprisingly low in calories. Excuse me. So I have half a pot of tzatziki with it, but you could have any dip with it. I just really like that it's, because the koftas aren't massively flavoured, or they're quite, you know, there's quite a lot of nuance in the flavour. I think the tzatziki really brings that out, because it's quite gentle, I find. A little bit of garlic, a little bit of cucumber, a little bit of yogurt, mint. It's nice. But you could probably have like any dip ever with these. Like, I've had just normal garlic sauce with them. You could probably even have just like red sauce or brown sauce with them if you wanted. Like, they're quite versatile. So there you can see that now they're baked on the baking sheet. I've just popped them onto a plate to cool. I am going to put 6 of them on this plate and go and eat them. But what you will find is, well, I ate the rest of them the next day, and then I actually, because I split the recipe into 3, I've slowed it down now just so that you can like properly see it all coming together. They freeze really, really well, so I've put 6 of them in the freezer, and quite often I'll have just like 3 of them and some salad for lunch. They come out of the freezer, just defrost them, bung them in the microwave for about a minute or 2,